Hello everybody, it's Bangkok Ian here. Just thought I'd give you a little update on life in Bangkok, and it's also going to be a little VR about my 10 guilty pleasure movies. Right, update first. On Sunday, it's now Friday the 1st of May now, so on the 3rd of May things are going to start to reopen here in Thailand. Various restaurants and barbershops, thank God. That's why I've not cut my hair. I'm going to be going to go to the barbershop, get my hair cut early next week if I can. They're going to be very busy, I think. So yeah, things are starting to return to normal here. The number of infections are in single digits for the past couple of days, and everyone has to wear masks, and when restaurants reopen there has to be minimum 2 meters distance, and lots and lots of regulations are going to be enforced, and they're going to keep an eye on things, see how things are going. If things start to go up again, then they'll stop it and we'll go back into lockdown. But yeah, things might slowly start returning to normal this weekend. It should be good. The bad news is that they've extended the alcohol ban till the end of May. So I've only got 7 cans after this can. I'm on my last 6-pack. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make my last 6-pack last. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know any other countries that have put an alcohol ban in place. It's already been in place for 2 or 3 weeks already, and now it's been extended for another month. Don't understand why. No, because no one else is doing this. So yeah, that's a bit of a myth. A bit miffed about that. But yeah, so things slowly might go back to normal. I've been working from home the entire time again. Just go to the office once a week, just to make sure everything's still there, you know. I just get stationery and things like that, check the mail, stuff like that. Just me going in, and so yeah, it's a nice trip out. The BTS, the Sky Train and all that, it's very, very quiet. So still very, very subdued here, and hopefully things might start to get back to normal. Hopefully on Sunday. Anyway, back to the VR. This is the top 10 guilty pleasure movies. Now I saw 2 really good VRs. I don't know who started this originally. I think it may have been a horror VR, but it's turned into a general VR. Screen Stars, a really good channel, and Geek Legion of Doom, and also a great movie channel as well. They both did VRs to it. I'll leave links down in the description to their VRs, and I'll try, if I can remember, to put links to the trailers to all these movies, just in case, in the unlikely event that you don't know which movies I'm talking about. Right, so guilty pleasure movies. A guilty pleasure movie for me is a film that I absolutely love, and I watch at least once a year. And it's the type of movie where if you're feeling a bit down or a bit tired, something you can watch and it'll immediately cheer you up. It never gets old. It might not be the most intellectually stimulating movie or the deepest movie, but they're all good fun, real good crowd-pleasing movies. Really great waste of time. So here we go. Let's start. I've got 10 of them. They're in no particular order, and so let's get started. Oh, that tastes good. 1 can a day. Oh dear. Right, I've written them down. First one is Roadhouse. This came out in 1989. Stars Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott. Directed by Rowdy Herrington. And this is an absolute blast of a movie. It's about the king of the bouncers in the US. He's other bars hire him, and he goes and clean up the worst bars in the country. takes them from absolute dives into respectable joints. But to do that, he has to break a few noses, arms, and all this stuff. Anyway, he goes to this really small town in the US, and it's run by this really cool businessman played by Ben Gazzara. And yeah, it's really, really good fun. Absolute definition of a guilty pleasure movie. I've seen this dozens of times over the year. I first saw it, all these films I first saw in the cinema, and yeah, Roadhouse, excellent movie. Okay, number 2 is The Grey. This is a 2011 movie starring Liam Neeson, and it's about a group of oil workers who are just getting off the rig onshore of Alaska, and they're flying back home to the US, and their plane gets caught in a very nasty storm. Plane goes down, and they crash land into a forest, and unfortunately it's right in the middle of this pack of wild wolves, and it's a survival story about them surviving the crash, and then they have to fight off this pack of wolves while they try and make their way back to civilization. It's absolutely brilliant. It's made by Joe Carnahan, who's made some absolutely brilliant films. I think he did Stretch, which is another underrated classic. Yeah, The Grey, absolutely brilliant film. Okay, and number 3 is Con Air. When did this come out? This came out in 1997. Now this is the action movie starring Nicolas Cage and the great John Malkovich, and this is absolutely hilarious. Written by Scott Rosenberg, who did one of my also guilty pleasure movies. It's not on this list, but he was almost on there. He wrote Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, which is a brilliant film with Andy Garcia, which also, I think that also had, no, it didn't have John Malkovich. It had, no, he wasn't in that, sorry. But yeah, Con Air is absolutely brilliant, very funny, and very action-packed. The cast is excellent, screenplay is excellent. It's about a group of prisoners who have been transferred by the Con Air airline, which they use to transfer prisoners from one prison to another in the US. And the prisoners take over the plane, try and make a bid for freedom, but they didn't count on Nicolas Cage, an army ranger who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, on his way home, getting paroled. It is brilliant. It's also got John Cusack in it as well, and yeah, highly recommended. Okay, number 4 is Congo. Came out in 1995, based on the book by Michael Crichton. Now, I read the book when it came out, and I also saw it at the cinema. And I'm a bit biased there because I read the book and I saw the movie when I was working in West Africa. So it was great because the movie's set in Congo and I was working in Gabon in West Africa, and that's like, Gabon's like the country next to Congo. And yeah, it's a really trashy movie, but I love it. It's about this expedition that goes off into the jungle to find these diamonds for these lasers they can make, and they bring this super intelligent gorilla to try and find them, and they run into this group of really very ancient, very evil, flesh-eating gorillas. Really good fun, and very much a boys' own adventure book, updated for the 1990s, and yeah, got absolutely slated, got really bad reviews, but I love it. I really love it. It's very trashy, but it's a very easy watch. Now, Congo. What next? Next one is The Abyss. It's my favourite James Cameron movie. It came out in 1989. If you can tracked down the director's cut, which has got about half an hour, 40 minutes of extra footage. Quite an important plot point at the end is in there as well. And it's another movie about oil workers. This time, they're not going home. It's set in an experimental underwater oil rig. And they happen to be working where this nuclear sub happened to go down. And so they have to reposition the rig close to the sub because they're quite deep and no one else can get there in time, and they have to recover the nukes from the sub, but they run into underwater flying objects. Yeah, still UFOs, and it's very tense, absolutely brilliant. It's not dated at all. These special effects absolutely still holds up. It was filmed in a massive underwater tank. I think it was in Mexico or something like that. And it could not have made Titanic without making The Abyss. It wasn't a big hit, which is a real shame, because I really do think it's James Cameron's best. The tension in that film, brilliant. Stars Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantano and Michael Biehn. It's absolutely brilliant. Action, adventure, love, spectacle, excellent. Really good film. Okay, halfway through. Movie number 6. That came out in 2000, and it's Pitch Black. Stars Vin Diesel. This was the first time he was playing the Riddick character, which is since he made Chronicles of Riddick and another one. I can't remember what the other one was called, but they were all great characters. They're all great movies, but the first one is my favourite. He plays this con. He's being transferred. No, he was just caught by this bounty hunter, and they're catching a ride to the prison, and the spaceship they're on gets into a bit of bother, and they crash land onto this planet, which has got like 2 or 3 suns, and it's very, very rare that it's ever night, but they just happen to crash land when there's going to be an eclipse of all, I think, 3 suns, and when the eclipse happens, all these subterranean monsters come out, and the monsters are absolutely brilliant because they can't see, they rely on sonar. And Vin Diesel's character, he's been a con all his life, so he's had his eyes modified, so he can't really see in the daylight, but when it's night he's got super vision. He can see perfectly in the dark, so they have to rely on Vin Diesel's character to get them out of harm's way. It's a brilliant sci-fi horror adventure, absolutely brilliant. If you've never seen it, track it down. I think Riddick is by far Vin Diesel's best role, and I'm hoping they make one more. They're supposed to, and I hope it comes to pass, because Pitch Black and the movies, the sequel movies, excuse me, they're all excellent. Okay, number 7 is Galaxy Quest. Now, I'm a big Star Trek fan, and this is a very loving spoof of the Star Trek series and movies. Came out in 1999, stars Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver and Alan Rickman, and it's a very, very loving Star Trek comedy tribute. It's about this TV show that ran, it's supposed to be Star Trek, but they called it Galaxy Quest instead, and like a one series, that's all it came out in the 70s. And the actors from this Galaxy Quest TV series, they've been living on that one series for years and years and years, and they make a living by going to all these science fiction conventions and signing autographs and being at the mercy of their fans. And these aliens who are being subjugated by this evil alien tyrant, wants to wipe them out. And the good aliens are looking for a way to get out of the hole they're in, and they see this Galaxy Quest TV series and think it's real. So they go to Earth, kidnap the actors, make the spaceship, and they try and get them to fight the intergalactic bad guys. And it's very funny, and the action sequences are really good, and the special effects and the characters really well developed. Very good movie. Again, it wasn't a big hit, but it's one of those films I watch many times. It's just so much fun. So, Galaxy Quest. Then number 8 is a film called Rogue. Came out in 2007. It's a creature feature set in Australia about this tourist. It's onshore Australia, about this tourist boat full of tourists, surprisingly, and they're going on this river tour, and they take the wrong offshoots on the river, and I'll say it's a wrong offshoot, because where they go is sort of like ruled the roost by this massive saltwater crocodile, and the crocodile attacks the boat, and the boat gets tipped over, and they make their way over to this very small island in the middle of a river, and they're trapped. But it's a tidal river, so the tide is rising, and there's a great big massive saltwater crocodile, and it starts to pick them off one by one. Very tense. It stars the lady who was also in Pitch Black. I can't remember her name. Did I write it down here? No, I didn't write her name down, but she's a really great Australian actress, and it's a really good movie. No real stars in it. There's one guy who was in Avatar, and but very tense. I love movies with crocodiles in. It's the best of times. Really good film. So yeah, Rogue. Check it out. Number 9, one of my favourite comedy movies of all time. Also one of my favourite sequels of all time. And it's Gremlins 2. This came out in 1990. And it's the most inventive sequel they've ever made. Now, I liked the first Gremlins. I liked it. I didn't love it. But Gremlins 2, completely different league altogether. It's so clever, so inventive. It just rips the piss out of so many things. Even the original Gremlins movie, it just rips the piss out of that. It takes the piss of all the Looney Tunes, all the Warner Brothers movies like Batman, and it's absolutely hilarious. Christopher Lee's in it as well as the boss of the Splice of Life DNA clinic, and it's one of the funniest, as I said, most inventive sequels ever made. I watch this at least twice a year. It's one of my favourite movies, certainly one of the best sequels ever made. It's hilarious. So that's Gremlins 2. And finally, this is another real guilty pleasure movie. It's Hard Target. This came out in 1993. It's a John Woo movie starring the muscles from Brussels, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yes, I've got a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie in my guilty pleasure movies. This is a great no-brain action movie. Jean-Claude plays this guy called Chance, this ex-soldier who becomes down on his luck in, I think it's Louisiana or somewhere in the southern US states, and he's a homeless vet, and he runs afoul of these really evil businessmen who kidnap the homeless and hunt them to the death in the bayou. Very similar to the movie that just got remade recently called The Hunt, but this came out in early 90s. And it's your typical John Woo action movie. It's got doves, it's got slow-mo, it's got a brilliant villain in the face of Lance Henriksen, who's always chewing up the scenery in it. He's a great villain. Jean-Claude is great in it. John Woo directs the hell out of it. It's really good fun. And another one of my favourite guilty pleasure movies that I watch at least once a year. They're all great. So I'll try to leave trailers for all these movies in case you haven't seen them, because they're all definitely worth a watch. And so there we go. So I'm doing okay. It's good to make a video and have some sort of rudimentary conversation with people. If you want to make a VR to this, please be my guest. Anyone's free to make a VR. So yeah, so there we go. So I hope everyone's well, and I'm hoping things start to improve everywhere very soon. Okay then, that's all from me for now then. Thanks for watching. Cheers.